Hey everybody, it's JDub1 again, and these are my hands. So, this is basically my next planning video on my Korbanth Crossguard 2.0 here. I've basically just done some kind of exterior cosmetic stuff here so far. Nothing serious. If you want to kind of go through that, I got some other videos that are pertaining to that more directly. And it's still not finished on the all the greeblies and all that other stuff. Basically, nothing here is permanent. It's all subject to change. We'll see how it goes. But I did get all of my parts. So, you can see I made a little diagram before I started this process of, most of the parts I'm going to make or use for this build. I decided not to go with the Veco. Went with the LG, and those are rated for supposedly 7.5 amps or something, but I've seen tests where people use them, do a discharge test of 10 amps. So I'm hoping it's going to run my NeoPixels. All the rest of the stuff is basically all on the table here that you see. So there's two choices of speaker. I haven't really decided yet. This is the Saber Essentials speaker that's supposed to be pretty good. I'm not even gonna open it really, but you can kind of tell it's a speaker, obviously. I got this one, and I got some 3-watt speakers off of eBay. So I'm gonna see, make little shrouds for them and test them, and kind of see if the 3-watt is better than this. It's like a no-name brand, random, but this is a 2-watt speaker, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see which one's better. This is the protected battery I got from KR Sabers, which as far as I know is the only 21700 that you can buy with a protection circuit already on it. And I've been kind of thinking about maybe using the JSTs and trying to do a swappable battery, but I actually did get an extra one, but as far as that goes, that's still to be sorted out. I've got one battery here that hopefully will do the trick, at least to get me started. Got a Switchcraft switch and a kill key. This is, I just went to Michael's. It's like a craft store, and bought a pendant. So I'm kind of kicking around the idea of maybe using this, but again, this isn't locked in stone yet. Here we got the Teensy Saber, which is, for all you guys waiting for Profi, this is obviously the one before that. And you can see it's a pretty small little guy here, even with the sandwich going. It's 2 boards, and the thing's absolutely tiny when you put it up to the battery, So there should be no problem in trying to jam this in there someplace. And then over here you can see I just have a multitude of tack switches. I got literally piles of them, all different sizes and heights and widths, and ones with LEDs and whatever, tons of tacks. Then we got obviously the connectors. You need 3 of these, 1 for each of the side blades, and 1 for the main blade. Also got one of these. I don't know if I'm going to use it. This is just basically to support everything in there. I'm planning on designing and printing a chassis, so this is probably not necessary, but even just for like matching up holes and stuff like that, I might use it just to help me refine designs. But it's like cheap stuff, so I figured why not pick it up. I might use it on another build. And then these guys are, so this is a 3/4 inch hole, right? There are no fittings for these connectors that are made for this. There are no blades that I know of that are made for this other than 3 printed ones. So I got one here for a heavy wall blade and one for thin wall blade, and we'll see what I actually end up doing with these. If nothing else, they're going to be a template for something I design and print. Probably going to completely print the side blades, maybe even in 2 pieces, so I can open it up and lay all the electronics in there and glue it back together. This really isn't going to be a dueling saber for me, so I'm more concerned in making it look cool. And there's always the opportunity to, at a later date, make more blades. And to that point, I've got one here where I got a pre-built blade just so that I can, test it immediately before I even build, my own blades. You can see here I've got all the other stuff that you need. This is the foam diffusion that goes in. This is what is this? I think this might be a 7/8 inch blade, thin wall. Because I was toying with maybe the idea of, printing a fitting to go inside the hilt and just have this sticking out. Have some kind of fitting that goes in here, but I don't know what the clearance is going to be like as far as the electronics and everything else. So we'll see what happens with that. Just got it in case. And then there's, the thinner diffusion for the sides. This is like a diffusion tube. It's like a very thin plastic, sort of like trans white type tube. And then there's this, which is a diffusion film, but it's not like the normal sort of cellophane diffusion film. It's almost like just like a thin sheet of plastic. I mean, it almost looks like wax paper, but it's plastic. It feels actually really sturdy. From what I understand, over at JQ, which is where I got most of this stuff, not all of it, they highly recommend this to reduce corn cobbing in the pixels. So I picked up some of that as well. Kind of erred on the side of getting extra crap rather than not enough. And then these, I got 3 of these. These are like the fake skinny minis. Basically, if you get 3 of these, then you use 2 for the main blade, and then I'm going to cut one apart to do the side blades and try to use them for accents. I don't really know what I'm going to do with the rest of it, or if I'm just going to buy, some kind of other accents for the inside there. I'm kind of hoping to do, you can see here, like a color cycle near the crystal in the middle. And as far as the battery, I don't know if the battery or the teensy, which one's going on which side, but these might be flipped also. So really, I just got the parts in, and I'm kind of figuring out what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to print and design a bunch of stuff to make it go all together. You can see what I did here in this crystal before I tear it out. I mean, it's possible I could maybe try to use this. It looks okay, but I think a real crystal is better. This is just what Korbanth comes with. Sometimes this thing does not want to go to the off button, but that's fine. And then this is, as I said before, was a blade plug that I designed and printed. I might use this actual shape when I build my chassis and add some stuff to it on this end, and do something on this side. But if you're curious about what I did to this crystal before, I just basically took it and I sanded it with some like 80 grit sandpaper around the edge of it, and then I used a lighter, kind of just here you can see a little bit better. It looks a lot better than the weird plastic ring pop it was, but it's still not a real crystal, So I scratched it up basically with some 80 grit, tried to keep the lines all lined up together. And then, I used a lighter and, maybe this far away, and it kind of blackens it up and, wipe that off. So this is pretty much stable color-wise. This is how it looks now. But yeah, I just thought that looked a little bit cooler for what this is before I cut this up. Or I might just design this section completely separately because there's really not a lot of space inside of there. Depending on what I do with the speaker, you know, I might want to actually have these vents working, you know, and have sound coming into here and then out the vents. So we'll see what I do with that. But that's where I'm at on this guy, and hopefully that's helped to some of you guys out there that are, you know, trying to take on the build of one of these guys. Yeah, I look forward to the progress I make in the next video I post. See you later, guys.